Happy spring training, Scott Oberg. How are you?
I'm doing well, Patrick. Thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. Just a general question to start out. I think all reports are you've been throwing well. You're up to bullpens. Your health is good. Uh, just your expectations for what 2021 can bring you.
For right now, I'm gonna kind of be cliche here and just say that I'm really taking this kind of a day at a time. And like you said, I'm off the mound. I'm feeling good. I haven't had any hiccups. The recovery, the wintertime went well for me, so I'm excited to be where I'm at this current moment. And the idea and the thought process is just to continue to progress, continue to up the intensity, work my way into games, and then be ready for the season.
I know Thomas wrote a piece, I don't know, a couple weeks back, where he said because the blood clot issue seems to have cropped up in August, then maybe there's some thought of, I don't know, maybe monitoring the innings or the workload, etc. Is that still part of the game plan, or do you figure if you pass all tests that you're good to go full bore the whole season?
I think that's a conversation that still needs to be had. So I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. I would like to, do what I can to help this team win as much as I can, and at the same time, make sure that I'm in a good place to be able to help us over the course of the season. And if that means, we kind of ease off the gas pedal at the beginning of the season, then that's what we'll do. We'll kind of sit down with the training staff, the coaches, front office, whomever, and just figure out that plan and kind of go from there. But like you had said, the article had mentioned that kind of August had been the date where the blood clots kind of happened. So I think that's going to be something that we're going to continue to monitor. We're going to have continued ultrasounds on the arm just to kind of continue to take a look to see where the blood flows at in the arteries, and do everything that we can to keep our eyes on this.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Pat Graham, Associated Press. Pat, go ahead.
Hey, Scott, got two questions for you. First of all, great to see you back. I guess, what was the recovery process like? And in the low moments, were you thinking maybe you might not get back?
I think I only had those moments of not being able to come back early on. Maybe really initially, once the episode happened. Once I had gotten in contact with the doctors, once we kind of had formulated a full plan, it was able to kind of set myself at ease a little bit, knowing that I've been through the rehab recovery process numerous times in the past. So for me, if I go about it the right way, dot the I's, cross the T's, and do the things that I know I'm supposed to do, it's going to put me in the best position possible to be able to where I'm at now, which is throwing off the mound, getting ready to throw a bullpen later today, and doing everything I possibly can to help the team. So, I'm really excited with where I'm at, and yeah.
Well, then my second question, it's great to see you back, first of all. But my second question was, I know that you were one of the ringleaders that kind of circled the wagons after the Nolan news and tried to get the collective conscience back on baseball. I guess, how did those conversations go, and what was that like?
Yeah, anytime you lose a player like Nolan Arenado, it's going to hurt, and there's going to be a lot of question marks, from a lot of different people. But I think the intention was just to make sure that we were all sticking together, because that's you never want to see a clubhouse go 25, 26 different directions. You want to make sure that at the end of the day, regardless of how we're playing, that we stick together as a club and as a team. And that was just kind of the intention, along with Ian Desmond and Trevor Story. Some of the other leaders in the clubhouse just wanted to make sure that they reiterated some of the team goals, some of the team values. That hey, look, like we lost one of our brothers, we lost one of our guys, but we still have a job to do. We still have to stick together, and we're trying to stay positive as much as we can.
Thomas Harding, go ahead.
Scott, great seeing you there, man. Can't wait to get down there and at least wave from a social distance, let's say that. First of all, how does it feel to be back there among guys and where you belong? What was that feeling like, whether it was yesterday getting the physical, hanging out, or today for his formal workout?
Yeah, it's always great. Get to see guys you haven't seen in some time. Especially for me because I ended up going home a little bit earlier than the rest of the guys during the season last year. So, it's great to kind of rekindle some of those relationships. I got to see some guys I haven't seen in a long time. I just ran into Jose Briseño. We just signed him back, so it was great to see him. We played rookie ball together. But just being able to see the same faces again, knowing that, hey, this is the time of year where we get to start back up again. We get to start our jobs again. We get to play baseball again. So it's, there's a lot of excitement in the air.
To follow up with what's going on in the arm, have you had to change anything about your pitches, the fastball, the slider, or when you get that ball in your hand, does your body just do what it does?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, the body's gonna do what it's gonna do. I might try to tinker with some things. I don't know exactly how successful that would be in changing the way I throw a baseball or my delivery or whatnot. So I'm conscious of the way that I'm moving my body. So I'm just going to try to be as effective as I possibly can, and try not to put too much stock or worry about things like that. It's just whatever happens, and I'm going to go about it the way that I have the last few years.
One more for me is that bullpen at times did struggle, but you've got guys that have done things well in the past. Where do you feel that bullpen is, knowing that the bullpens can be up and down?
Yeah, the bullpen has a lot of talent and a lot of guys that have been successful in the past. We got some younger guys. We have some guys that we're going to be able to need to lean on this year to be successful as a club. And I think it's going to take all of us like it usually does. And, already having some conversations yesterday with Michael Givens about just kind of the direction that we want to take the bullpen in, and, making sure that we really have each other's backs, and, we really stay close-knit throughout the course of the season. I think that's going to be, the first priority, really. Knowing that, it's our own small little unit down there. And as long as we're staying together and doing the right things, I think we can be successful, and I think we can be, a nice surprise, to what we bring to the table.
Thanks, Scott.
Nick Groke, The Athletic. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, hey, Scott. To rewind a little bit again, when you went home last year, obviously you had stuff that you had to do for yourself, but what was your connection to the team? Were you watching the games? How did the season go for you? What was your experience of the season?
Yeah, I did watch as many games as I possibly could, and staying in contact with certain guys along the way too, the best I could via text. At the same time, I try to give some of those guys some space too. I don't want to be that guy who's like trying to nitpick everything just because I'm watching from 2,500 miles away. But it's tough when you're not physically in the clubhouse, to be able to have conversations with guys, like really how they're feeling, what they saw, what they were thinking about. It's a little bit harder to have those conversations via text, just because I'm not next to the guy. That personal feeling, that personal relationship right there is just, it can't really be had to the same level over the phone. So, I stayed in contact as much as I could, but at the same time, there's only so much you can do when you're not physically there.
Yeah. So then, to flip it, how was it difficult for you to be disconnected a little bit like that, or did you have enough to focus on for yourself that you kept busy?
Yeah, I mean, there were certainly enough things to focus on while I was at home. But anytime you're not with the club and that's where you would normally be at, had this episode not happen, it was upsetting. It was kind of like, hey, there are days I'd really want to be there, but a lot of days I was focusing on, making sure that my health was taking the priority, making sure I was there for my family, and just doing all those little things to get me to where I'm at right now.
Awesome. And then just to, if you could just recount real fast too again, I think your your rehab kind of matched up with your what would be an off-season pitching program anyway? Is that right? Are you basically sort of normal?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, I picked up the ball normally about the time I would have anyways. I think I started early December. Normally I'm like the week after Thanksgiving, so the timing of it is roughly the same. The only difference has been that I haven't thrown as many bullpens as I normally would have to this point, and that was just something that we had talked about internally, and thought that it would make more sense to spend some more time doing a little bit of long toss and doing some other throwing exercises rather than jumping on the mound right away. So, we knew we had some time in spring training where we could play a little catch up in that regard.
So how do you feel right now in the moment?
I feel pretty good. I feel good. I'm encouraged by the progress that I've made, and gonna hopefully continue that over the next 6 weeks here.
Cool. Thanks, man.
All right, we have 3 raised hands left. I'll get to these last 3, and we'll get to Austin Garber. Tracy Ringlesby, go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Oberg.
Hi, Tracy. How are you?
I'm good. My question is, the problem has come up in August, but last year was such a shortened season. Do you think it's really tied into throwing the baseball that causes this problem, or is there something else that would be more of an issue for that timing to be so similar, regardless of workload?
Yeah. Just based on the conversations that I've had with the doctors and the tests that we've run through, I've gone through 2 sets of genetic testing, once in 2016 and once this past year. This year I ran through the gauntlet of doctors and everything else like that. And we couldn't find any other reason outside of repeated trauma of throwing. So that was kind of the best answer that they were giving me, and the best answer we were going with. The timing of it seems interesting. I have a few theories myself. I don't know if they're true or not, but it always just ends up seeming to happen in the same time frame.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin Henry, Roxbaum. Kevin, go ahead.
Hey, Scott, great to see you. Thanks for the time. You were one of the last guys that we actually talked to face-to-face at spring training last year. And then, of course, everything went wild.
Right.
Walking back into that facility, knowing what this last year has been in terms of the pandemic, what you've been through and everything else, is it easy or difficult for you to grab a sense of normalcy and routine and just kind of getting back in the swing of things, the way testing is still going on and everything else?
We've seen from this past year that, whatever your word for normal is, it's kind of, you can throw that out the window. So you just have to make do with the situation that's at hand. You know that everything's going to be a little different. The clubhouse is looking a little bit different with steel cage lockers everywhere. You're looking at, different food situation. You're seeing everybody through a mask. You're going to have to do different things in order to be successful. And I think the guys that are able to make those adjustments faster are going to be the ones that, ultimately succeed over the course of the next 6 months here. So, that's kind of the approach that I'm taking. It's just like anything else. It's just, part of what we have to deal with now, and how do we adjust, and how do we overcome, that adversity moving forward here.
Thanks.
And Mark Stout with the last question.
Hi, Scott. Great to see you, man. Hey, has this leadership role, is this something that you just kind of assumed? Is it a result of being within the organization for 10 years, or can you kind of explain how that's kind of come on you?
I'm not really sure. I think it might be a combination of a few things. It's uncomfortable, I'll tell you that, but it's something that I'm trying to embrace, and trying to at least help pitchers as much as I can. At least from trying to get guys informed on things that are going on outside of the field. I'm trying to do the best I can in that situation, in that regard. And I think being a part of this organization for as long as I had been, I think that kind of naturally kind of carries a little bit of weight. And it's I guess a role that I'm still adjusting to, and getting comfortable with, and I've had a lot of conversations with Desi over the last couple of weeks, and just trying to lean on him because I really saw him as like a really a natural leader, and just kind of, you know, leaning into him and trusting his instincts too, just because he has a very natural tendency for that type of role.
Well, we in the media appreciate it. Thanks, Scott.